that did it for the housekeeping part. I like reviewing that with you all, showing some of the things that you've shared and broadcasting it out there, and encouraging you who are watching to step up and share as well. Bubonic One, Mexicans make horrible liqueur, their beer especially. Oh, so Bubonic's not a fan. Because Plunderloot is saying tequila is always an option. And I'm glad you like the Pith Helmet, Plunderloot. Hey, Moose Crenshaw is back. It's good to see you again, Moose. Bubonic One likes heavier beers. And so even American beer, if it's not a craft beer, it's swill. Oh, a refined taste from Bubonic One. Dark Wolf is a melty of woo. Yes. Your arcade is located next to the entrance to an indoor water park, so I am sure it is warm and humid. Bubonic. Well, I appreciate your discretion there. Actually, let me swap these around because I really want to make sure that I'm highlighting our party. And this is going to be interactive because I really would like your input on the last portion of this page. I'll set it up and I'll throw you guys the pitch and hopefully you can help me knock it out of the park. As you may remember, we generate 5 characters every week and we form a party of random adventurers. What I do is I distill the information, talking about beers and liquors and liqueurs, I distill some information from each of the 5 sources and I put it together for a side-by-side comparison. For instance, here's our first character, Nolavi. I took his scores in Strength, Dex, Con, Int, Wiz, Cha, his saves in which he is proficient, and his alignment, and I compared it similarly to Nolan, Alerdia. I don't have a picture for her, unfortunately. I can research one, I just don't have one. Elarinka, and Nora, who is our final character that we generated. You can see I did the same here, and I separated them by color stripe. If you're having trouble discerning the colors due to the the quality of the stream or something, let me know, and I can make sure to explain things differently or to make sure I'm highlighting things in a different way. Dark Wolf, I drank 2 water bottles and 2 ice waters over a 7-hour shift, and I'm still thirsty. You're waiting for your ride? Well, at least you're out of there and you can cool off in the breeze. This is much better than last week. Yeah, right? We had 5 last week. And, yeah, and there is way more green. Crenshaw, thank you. Maybe I should, this summer for the 4th of July, maybe I should buy little poppers. You know, those little, like, champagne poppers, those party poppers? Maybe I can get a pack of those and pew! At circumstances like that. Of course, that'd be a little bit of a mess to clean up. I'd have to think about how to go about that. Anyway, we're partying. Thank you very much for that bit donation. That means a lot to me. And Crenshaw, you are very close to being the stream boss. I don't think Buddhabelly25 is here yet because he hasn't regenerated in a while. And if you all look, his hit points are getting low. Mantarok, welcome. The runes and the stars are right. Mantarok joins us in chat. Bobicus also. Bobicus has returned to us. It's good to see you again, Bobicus. You've been finding I have to drink sports drinks to not feel thirsty. Not sure if I've just fallen for marketing hype, placebo effect. Well, you could try cold turkey or just switch into water or something and see if it's a mental thing. Right? Because sports drinks are just flavored salt water. I think of Idiocracy with the drink Brondo. Brondo's got what plants crave. Brondo's got electrolytes. Bubonic performance doesn't hurt not having that much, but insight can hurt somewhat. You should have got champagne for your 1-year anniversary. Have a bucket off screen, aim for it each time. I can, but all you all would hear is a little pop. You wouldn't actually see me go and the little like boo, the confetti coming out. Bobicus, this is a recent switch from water. It's a noticeable difference. Oh, okay. Well, because the salt helps you retain water. Yep. In fact, Bubonic, I'm going to get into that right now. So, Crenshaw, thank you for that. And Bobicus, it is good to have you back, sir. All right, so we had each of the characters there in their own stripe. And we can do this. We do this not only to help separate the different characters, but if you go into what we're going to do in part 2, you can use these same colors to perhaps highlight sections that you want to spotlight for a particular character. Now, another technique you can use is to highlight or remove the highlight from perhaps a character's highest score. Pardon me. And if you do this throughout the entire segment, you'll see generally the strong points of the party. You know, if we go to Nalevi here, this is a 16. Here, if we just hit no fill. If we look at Nolan, that's an 18. Now, you may very well say, but, you know, we generated a level 19 Druid, and we had some level 4 characters. What's going on? And that is very much true. However, in 5th edition, that line is a little flatter. Whoops. That line is a little flatter, and we're also... It's not going to be as relevant for this party examination, because we see where they're going to be going anyway. We see the direction they're headed, and they're still going to be strong in these points. So even if we all set them to level 10... Actually, we're going to be starting the party at level 8 for this week. But, you know, 8, whatever. We can still see the direction that they're going by... Because they're class, they're most likely going to be strong in what they're doing. And you know what? Even if we have an odd character like that bard we generated a couple weeks ago, where she had a 10 charisma, we probably weren't going to raise it. So her charisma would be 10, or it might have been 12. I think it was 10. But her strength was high because she was just going a sword and board beater. So her strength was up, and it would always be up, because why would we dump a ton into charisma when that's not her character? So we can do things like this. Now, this is the individual characters. And if we want to see, oh, well, who has the highest con, we could also then come back and remove highlight or add different colors. So, you know, there's our highest con and our highest intelligence. Everyone has a decent intelligence, right? 14, 14, and 14, 12, and 12. Everyone's kind of a smarty. Okay. And by the way, too, if you wanted to, with your own analysis for your own parties that you play in, or as a DM, if you ask your parties, to submit information, you can do this. You can also see where they're weak. This is knowledge to have, because you might sometimes want to tickle that weakness. You want to challenge them, help them overcome something. If you look here, though, this party's pretty spread out for the weakness. At worst, you have a 9 and an 8 in dex. But here's a strength. Here's a con. Here's a whiz. So it's not like the party's going to be super vulnerable to... it's not going to be super vulnerable to some sort of a poison skill. Because everyone has a dump stat in con. Or is going to be, you know, taken for a fool with illusion or something like that. Yeah, no dummies in this group. And you know what? That is going to be reflected in why I wanted to start them at a higher level. There's also some storytelling reasons that we'll get into. Okay, now I have taken the information in the skill proficiencies for each of the characters, and I set them against each skill. This way we're making a horizontal bar graph to show our strengths and our weaknesses as well. You want to talk about strengths? Strength is a strength. 4 of our characters are proficient in athletics. This got a little bit lighter blue to even highlight it further. This is the skill that has the most proficiencies in our party. I have a darker blue for those who have 3, and you know what? We have an intelligence skill, a wisdom skill, actually 2 wisdoms and a charisma, that have a very good coverage in them. And so this is a nice cool color. It's very safe. We have redundancy in the party. Then we have green bars, which represent there's at least a backup character for that skill. And if we look, especially for stealth, both Nolan and Elarinka not only have it, but they have an expertise in it. So they are both going to be super good at stealth. You may almost want to upgrade this. Maybe you have this as green to indicate, well, yeah, only 2 people have it. But if the color coordination matters to you, you could probably bump this up to, like a dark blue, or even if you want to double count each of these so that it counts as having 4 people, because they're going to be really good at stealth. You can also see, by the way, that we have expertise in perception with Nolan and deception with Elarinka. It could be bad plunder loot, and we can certainly reflect that in the SWAT report at the bottom. Now, I've represented with yellow the skills that only have 1 person in the party who's proficient. It's not bad, right? There's at least proficiency. But if something happened to Nolan and you needed to make a sleight of hand check, like he was captured or he's in another part of the map or something has occurred, then there's no redundancy. Nolan's not there, the party's proficiency in sleight of hand is gone. Alardea, nature, Nolevi with religion, and Nora with medicine. Now, what is nice also is that at least these are spread out. So it's not like Nolan is the sole proficient person in these skills. If one of these people are missing, then we still have coverage in a lot of other skills. Yeah, Elarinka has an 8 in wisdom. And it's zeroed out because of Jill of all trades. Finally, well, we have these big bright reds, as we have 3 skills in which there are no proficiencies in the party: Arcana, Insight, and Performance. As some of you were talking about, that may not be bad given the theme of the campaign. Right? This is sending a group out into the outlands, into the wilderness, in order to perform tasks, hit and runs, maybe gathering some information or supplies, some counterinsurgency against this invading Imperial force. Would Arcana help? Well, obviously having a proficiency in a skill is going to help in some way. And that could depend. Does this empire have particular magics, unusual ones? Do they not use magic? If so, well, Arcana could still be used because there's natives in these outlands between Mesotopia and this empire to the northeast. Insight, well, hey, you want to read guards, you want to read moods and intentions. Is someone bluffing in a high tension situation where maybe weapons haven't been drawn yet, but neither side knows what to do? Insight could be a big detriment. Performance, maybe not so much to the Imperial soldiers, though. If you want to impress upon the locals who live in these hinterlands, right, in these outlands outside of Mesotopia proper, performance could be big. So overall, yeah, we have 3 that aren't proficient. Uh, Only one of them I think is going to be like universally used between anyone they encounter outside of Mesotopia, and even within it. I will say I find it funny there are no con skills in 5e, but concentration is no longer a skill, just a save. Yeah, they have. They just have them doing their own thing. You know, con, because con also, it's not a skill necessarily, but it is. Your score will determine how long you can hold your breath, and it's used for save effects versus spells, and of course hit points. So con puts in work on a character sheet. Yeah, there's just not any con-based skills. You think persuasion would help more than performance? Man, and you know what? We have some redundancy. Both Nolan and Alardea have performance, or persuasion, I mean. And perhaps we can think of ways for the party to use these skills as we go over the campaign in the next part. The languages that the party speaks, common of course, Gnomish, Primordial, and Primordial I ended up giving to Nolevi here. If you remember, he was an Outlander he's a pilgrim. So, you know, he might have even come in from these Outlands themselves. But on his pilgrimage, he picked up his faith in this Tempest domain as a cleric. You know, he received the powers, the understanding, the recognition that comes with it. And I figured if you are going to be channeling raw elemental power and fury, then I thought you could speak Primordial. If we wanted to be more specific and say maybe he picked up Auran and Aquan, which are sort of like sister tongues or like branch-offs, specific to water and air, because that's kind of the Tempest thing. That could be feasible, but we only had one language slot. So I figured part of his gift in his divine blessing. Steel Dust! Oh, thank you very much!
3 months of creativity in Madia's MR Neps. Here's to many more.
Oh, yes. Here's to many more. You know, I don't, I think I threw out, oh no, I didn't. Here, Steel Dust. This is, if you know what this is, I'm dedicating this to you. There's some Snapple ASMR for you, Steel Dust. Thank you. And by the way, Delilah Steel Dust, our Tremere, is getting along very well in Vampire. So your quasi namesake is making a name for herself in Los Angeles. It has been 3 months, Delcorin. Mage, what we're doing, by the way, welcome, Mage. What we're doing is going over the 5 characters that we've generated this week, and we're putting them together in a character sheet for the entire party. What does the entire party look at? What are they good at? What are they not so good at? Yeah, seduction. Yeah, we're going on the on the seduction route, even though we are good Granny Tremere. But Delilah Steel Dust is still rolling around Los Angeles, and oh, she's had some tense moments. All right, so within the party here, that's why I have Primordial. And look, if you're playing this character and you wanted something different, well, approach your DM about it. Make it thematic. Where did you get this language ability, and root it in that? Cool, does this mean you guys went with the name Nolan? Yes. Nolan Levexi. And Nolan ended up getting a... Oh, you're going to make her into a Skyrim character? Delilah Steel Dust? If you do Steel Dust, please send some pictures on our Discord. I'd love that. We ended up rolling that he has an older sister too, Mage. We had another soldier child, like soldier background child character. She's 14, though she's a big girl. She's been, she's been drinking her milk, taking her vitamins, and saying her prayers, just like Hulk Hogan would want her to do. And she must have come down with him. And so we have Nolan and Nora Levexi. Our Druid can act as a true tank with... Yeah, that's true, Bubonic. Yep, older sister mage. We can also speak Elven in the party and Undercommon, which we reflavored to be Imperial Common. You know, as we say common, it's a catch-all. Maybe it's just common for that region or common for a country. But here we have this outside empire, and their common may be different than ours. So we gave Undercommon to both Nora and Nolan because they're from that area. Orcish came along with our sailor because in the exploration of the Mesotopia region, there are many orcs or half-orcs who have taken up the profession of sailing. The Awu is in the den. Oh, and you also made another clip? Oh, that's right. Because Kitty on Paper likes the ASMR stuff, and... I have the button. And Steel Dust is liking it too. I even have my Vial of Eve here. You all may know what this is. Right? But that can make some fun clicky clicks too. We have Infernal. While we do not have a tiefling in the party, we do have someone who hunts tieflings, namely our ranger. And so she has picked up the language of her enemies. You're not ready for sleep? Okay, so Steel Dust, you can't sleep yet, Steel Dust. In fact, maybe I can put on a little bit more lively music than the Cavern of Lost Souls as we're getting our party together. Aha, we'll put them at a crossroads. Which way will they go? And lastly, we did pick up the Druidic language from Nora. Do you have a Mr. Bubbles doll too? Mr. Bubbles as in the bubble bath additive? Yep, so here we have some doggos barking. We'll get a kind of a banjo strumming. Some people, you know, like a couple old men in rocking chairs are going to be talking back and forth. Yes, Delcorin. Yeah, I think we're going to get a... I think in this track there is a banjo that plays. I had you at banjo. Just as... Oh. There you go, Mage. It's kicking in. Mr. Bubbles was... Oh, that's right. Mr. Bubbles. Yeah. I was thinking of the bubble bath. But yeah. Mr. Bubbles. Yeah, the little sisters gave to Big Daddies. The tools in which our party is proficient are also listed. Among everyone in the party, they are proficient in 5 different instruments, or there could be some redundancy, but there are 5 instrument proficiencies. Do you have to label them all? No, not necessarily. You could arguably do the same between Dragon Chess and 3 Dragon Ante. Our brother-sister combo here, no Dragon Chess, and probably play together. And 3 Dragon Ante, the card game was picked up by, I think, Elarinka? Yep. So Elarinka here, our spy for the Empire, knows how to play 3 Dragon Ante. Thieves' tools, Tinker's tools, and an herbalism kit. So very creative tools, support tools, and hey, you know, pass some time, gamble a little bit, have some fun, de-stress. If you use a mechanic like Madness, this could perhaps help with that. Because of the bubble helmets, yeah, the deep sea. Mage says, oh good, I'm not the only one who was thinking of the bubble bath. Nope, nope, we're on the same page. Mage, my mind to your mind. My thoughts to your thoughts. Plunder Loot wants the... Was that supposed to be juice? And that was just... It came out wrong, or what? Dark Wolf just got home, so you're going to get some nom-noms. Alright, enjoy Dark Wolf. Delcorn, I think... Spicy Larry was here and went on an adventure, but I think Delcorn's been the only one. So that said, the adventures are open. You know, you all are welcome to proceed along. Delcorn, some of the little sisters carried around a makeshift doll that resembled a Big Daddy, and I believe the dolls were available online. Oh, they might be. You wanted to get one of the hypos, but the darn thing sold out everywhere. I looked now, and they are really expensive. Oh. I'm glad you're a fan. I really liked BioShock 1. I thought was wonderful, brilliant, and beautiful. BioShock 2 was a solid game. BioShock, well, I say 3, and I'm looking up. I don't need, I think I did buy the physical copy. BioShock Infinity, I don't talk about BioShock Infinity. I won't spoil anything, but I am not a fan. Not a fan. It was beautifully done, great music. I mean, the visuals were spectacular. But when the storyline is doo-doo butter, in my opinion, well, it is what it is. I don't know. I haven't seen Norton the Knoll around in a couple days, Bubonic. So if you want to kind of sneak one in, take out some of his rabid cousins, you're welcome to do so. Oh, it looks like the death count tried and did not succeed. Loved 1, really enjoyed 2, couldn't get into Infinity for some reason. I think it was the time period it was based on. Infinity was the one in the clouds, and that's BioShock 3, I guess you could say. 1 and 2 were in Rapture Underneath the Sea. I ate up the atmosphere of 1 and 2. I love, you love Rapture. That's what it was, Delcorn. I really enjoyed the setting and the theme for 3. It's just that there's so much other stuff that was not good, in my opinion. Alright, so here's our tools, and lastly, this is something that maybe you want to lay out. Do you have to? Not necessarily. I imagine as players, you generally know what you're going for with your character, but if you're going to hand this page over to your DM to help him or her ensure that the adventure is built to have you flex your muscles in your strengths and to challenge your weaknesses, this is a good reminder. Right, as a cleric, you have high magic, healing, and we have a melee cleric. With our monk bard multi-class character, he has some light magic, a little bit of healing. I mean, yeah, touch-up healing with bard. Definitely melee, and this is a skills person, for sure. Our ranger has some light magic and light healing, and is a melee ranger with a companion, and she also has the skills to pay the bills. Elarinka is a bard. Medium magic. She went College of Valor bard, so she's not super magical. She still has a lot of I mean, it is a caster class despite being a melee user. But so I kind of split the difference and said medium magic, healing, and melee. Nora, the druid, has high magic and healing, and she is also a melee character here. Whether that is going to be in her animal form, which is her specialty. She shape changes, or she wild shapes into beasts and other animals all the time. If you look, she is strength, she is armor, she has a shield and a scimitar. So even if she's not in wild shape form, she's still going to be a melee character. Chemison, good morning or good evening to you. I'm sorry, it's It's morning for others, and it is still evening for some of us here. It's almost tickling midnight. Bioshock Infinite was two 1800s for my taste. All right. Here's our page 1. We reviewed it. And this is where I want to get your input. This is where I want it to be even more interactive. I mean, Bubonic was pointing things out and doing a very good job at highlighting things. The party is already going to know each other. And I think that's important because we do have these child characters. And so them getting a little bit of experience, and if we are arranging them to be defectors from the military, that requires some pre-game setup. As well, within the group, we have Elarinka here, who's actually a spy that as we created that character, she is a spy for the Empire who has infiltrated this mercenary group. Now, what does she end up doing? She likes money perhaps more than an allegiance to a political faction. So she could possibly be a good guy or a goodish guy. Though if the Empire is going to pay her more, or if the party members are going to act up or be just savage brutes, who do need the order and the structure and everything that the Empire provides its own people, then she could possibly go through and betray them as well. Still, though, we do need to account for them getting together and how would they meet each other? Well, we do have a bard here, Elarinka, who may very well have taken Nolan under her wing, right? He's a bard for as well. And these would be people from the Empire, and honestly, Nora is also. Though she probably would have come afterwards. She's an officer, she has her own things to do, and it probably wouldn't be until Nolan left, who is a child prodigy. Elarinka might have been sent in order to keep an eye on him. Maybe he's someone special, something along those lines, and Nora would follow after. Probably after Elarinka here and Nolan have wandered around. They might have met then our two Imperial Hunter characters. We have Nolevi, and he is anti-Imperial for the sake that this empire is invading the Outlands, the places that he learned and studied and worshipped. They're cutting down trees, they're excavating mountains, they're paving paradise and putting up a parking lot. And that's a no-no to him. He's very naturalistic, right? He's this Tempest cleric. The natural world is more important than all the constructs of civilization. He is also a forest gnome, and they are native to Mesotopia, or they at least have a big residence in Mesotopia, so he might have wandered out into the no man's land. So he's anti-imperial, not necessarily for political reasons, but because he knows what they do to the wildlife and the open wilds themselves. Then we have Alardea, and she is a ranger who turned privateer. In other words, a privateer is a legal pirate. You have a country or countries' permissions to destroy or pillage ships that bear a certain flag. Whether it's a pirate flag, it's an illegal operation, or you could have been sanctioned by the English crown to sink, destroy, or pillage Spanish or French ships if they're flying those colors. So she wanted to continue hunting, and especially hunting Imperials, right? Her favorite enemy are humans and tieflings, and that's the majority of the Shadowheart Empire's populace. So this lets her legally hunt people for the reasons that she has. And so she's adapted to this way of life. When she's on land, she's a master at stalking through forests. And at sea, well, she's good at perhaps boarding combat, right? She's a two-weapon fighter. And she has a parrot. I should have found a picture of the parrot. I don't think... there's not a place to put it. But there's a parrot named Polymus that I believe it was Dark Wolf gave the parrot its name. And so this Beastmaster Ranger can use Polymus to scout or mimic words it heard. So you send him over, and then Polymus will come back and repeat what the Imperial soldiers were saying around the campfire. That kind of a thing. Bioshock is 2 FP for me. I tried, but it got serious. But you got, FPS, 2 first person, right? New Vegas was the best Fallout game to date, says Plunder Loot. Controversially, I added that. Again, way too action-oriented. Mage, waiting till I get the right game system to start playing Fallout. Plunder Loot, do PC so you can do them all. That is true. Plunder Loot, do Xbox One then. You can have the compatibility with 3, New Vegas, and 4. Mage, I'm waiting to get a PS4 for a game that's coming to it. With the PS4, you can play the others, but it requires the subscription service. Mage says, really, Polymus, like Polly the Parrot? Dark Wolf confirms with a yes. Someone suggested Polly. I made it Polymus. So is Polymus from something in particular? Am I missing a reference? And you know what? It sounds like Mage and Dark Wolf get it. And I told you, you two are peas in a pod together. You two in a room would be very dangerous because you'd conspire and talk about things that you two take an interest in. So perhaps even Nolevi and Elarinka capture Nolan, or even Elarinka, who's a spy, right, as a hired killer. It maybe goes to try and turn them in, because we have these upstarts. Nolevi, he's fine on the sea. You know, he can do that. So we have maybe the privateers here, Elarinka and Nolevi. She goes to turn him in, and he makes a confession. Something happens. Later on, Nora can arrive and is saying, look, I'm looking for my brother. I understand. I'm from the Empire. I look like it. I sound like it. I'm not here to wage war. I've come back for my brother. And the brother says, I'm not interested in war, because he's not. Ideals aren't worth killing or going to war over. Now, that said, he is willing to kill people, but maybe not for ideals, maybe for more practical purposes. As you can see, Dark Wolf kind of made him hide a blade behind his back here. You know, pay no attention to that. So we have woven together these 5 interesting characters who are going to get together and themselves hunt Imperials. In fact, it could even be under Elarinka's discretion as the sailor, as the privateer. Prove yourselves, or I'll kill you and claim a reward, or turn you in, or something along those lines. And look, Nolan doesn't care. He'll kill Imperials. Nora, his big sister, just wants to get her brother back. She's not necessarily as concerned, she's concerned for her people. She's a young upcoming officer in this sort of like Outlands division of the Imperial Shadowheart army. Nolevi is just on a quest to cleanse the lands of these people. If I could, I'd go with the Xbox, but the game I'm waiting for won't be released on the Xbox or its previous ones. Kingdom Hearts 3, yeah. Yep. You've been waiting for this game for over a decade, so yeah, gotta give some to get what I want. Yeah. Okay, so these are methodologies that we as players could use to weave our characters together. It could be interesting if we did these independently, or if the siblings conspired together and everyone else did their own thing separately. Because if as players we don't know that we have a spy in the group, or as players if we don't know that we could be double-crossed by the siblings, or even as an Imperial player, that we could just get murked at any time by this very strong Cleric and Bard combo. That makes the dynamic at the tabletop very interesting, and the way that we play our characters and the things that we say and do could be influenced in unique fashions. Yeah, she's wanting to play Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, yeah. Oh, and Dark Wolf even perked her ears. KH3? Yeah. Kingdom Hearts is okay, but not a huge fan, to be honest, says Bubonic and Plunder Loot. It has a strong, solid fan base. Yep, KH. 'Tis in her name. For the last part of this segment, then, what I wanted to do is go over what's called a SWOT report. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. The first two, the S and the W, are internal to the party. These are things that we can help or that are under our control. Opportunities and threats are things that are outside of our ability to control. I'll give you a few examples, and if you see strengths or weaknesses, I mean, I'll start with these two, and we can bounce back and forth. One strength is we have 11 skills have redundancy. Now, if you want to conversely say then 3 skills have no proficiencies, that's fine too. Another strength would be, well, we can't speak Halfling or Dwarven. But we do have a broad selection of standard and I guess we can put uncommon languages, right? We can speak the Imperial Common, even natively without an accent. We can speak, so we can speak that. We can speak Druidic, and we can speak Primordial. That's really good, and I think we can get some traction with that as a party. Conversely, as a weakness, no Dwarven language skills. Hurts as they are a minority of the Empire and may be encountered. Now remember, we as players are producing this. We haven't seen necessarily the Outlands map, or if we have, we don't know who lives there. We don't know that there's actually dwarves living in one of the regions. Bubonic, yeah, if we look at animal handling, if we look at perception and survival, we are definitely, our strengths, we are geared for travel, camping, and survival in the wilderness. With skills, magic, and classes. Right? We have a ranger and we have a druid. They each have magic, let alone any other supporting magics that the other classes bring. And our skills, if you look at our wisdom skills, which are primarily survival and living off the land kind of a thing, we're really good there. You don't really need insight to live off the land. That's that is a very, like, a social skill. But all this other stuff, we have vehicles land proficiency, vehicles water proficiency. And if you look, we have decent strengths and decent constitutions. If we need to travel for a long while and to resist fatigue, that kind of a thing. Also, copious restorative magics. I don't want to say just healing. We have almost everyone can heal some outside of their hit dice, but restorative could also mean the greater restoration, lesser restoration that I believe both druids and clerics get. If I'm incorrect about druids, let me know. But we also can get the access to these other restorative spells. You know, remove poison and disease or detect it, that kind of a thing. That's a restorative magic. Yeah, oh, and buffing abilities too. Good setup for buffing magic. And, you know, not just the wisdom in this too. If we look, athletics for climbing, pushing, pulling, that kind of a thing, you'll find a lot of that. Swimming out in the wilds, we're good to go there. We also have 2 super stealthers as a strength. Nolan and Elarinka. They can be super sneaky. Yep. The languages we have are going to be very useful for a sneaking mission, an infiltration mission. And what's nice too, because we have 3 people, well, we have 2 people who can speak it. Maybe a third as the spy. She hasn't taken it officially, but maybe she picks up on it more quickly. But as we have at least 2 native speakers of Undercommon, over the course of the adventure, it could be useful to teach Undercommon to the other party members. And that's something that you can do over the course of an adventure. You can teach languages. You don't have to just take a feat or something along those lines. If your DM allows it because you're role-playing through practice, you might gain proficiency to skills, you might gain languages, you might gain tool proficiencies. A weakness would be that we don't really have... I want to be careful how to put that. Nora can very much tank, as you were talking about, Bubonic One. She can turn into a big tanky something or another. We do have a Valor Bard who can wear medium armor and wield a shield if she really wanted to. In fact, Nora can even just hand her shield and say, "Here, use this. I don't need it. I'm going to turn into a bear." What? and go to town. So, I guess as a strength, we would have. Instead, maybe I should put that. A weakness of the party is lack of big arcane spells. Things that you would get from wizards, warlocks, and sorcerers. Yes, bards are arcane magic, but they don't quite have the big fireballs or the big lightning storm effects or things like that, like the huge AoEs. Lack of big arcane spells. Maybe I'll put slash AoEs. Also, lack of non-magical ranged attacks. Our cleric, melee. Our monk and bard, melee. Our ranger, melee. Our bard, melee. Our druid, melee. We might have a sling or a bow and arrow or something in the group. No one's super de-duper good with it, though. Yeah, exactly, bubonic. You know, like we're talking like the raw power magic that you can funnel as an arcane. Druids are a kind of they're supportive. You can get some big spells as a druid, but they're not really known for that sort of a thing. Yeah, a support caster, plunder loot. A weakness internal to the party. There is a high chance for intra-party conflict, right? We have 2 overt defectors of the Imperial Army. We have a spy who could still very well be loyal to the Empire in the party. And then the other 2 aren't even neutral. They are hunters of Imperials. That means that this could be a high-stress situation. You know, suspicion, accusations in character. Estwild, welcome back. It's good to see you again. Howdy to you. I think if I'm missing any strengths or weaknesses internal to the party, let me know. Otherwise, I think we have some pretty good lists written down for how we can examine. Oh, you know what? A strength. Ability. Ability dump stats are spread out among the characters. Right? We don't have int being the dump stat for 4 of the 5 people. We don't have redundancy in our dump stats. It's spread out, and that's very good. Estwell, the wizard is worked out great for the first session, and since then, I was asked to join the Tomb of Annihilation group on Fantasy Grounds. You're set now. That's great. Do you want to share more of that story? You're welcome to do so over here. You can also do so on our Discord if you've joined us there, Estwild. We have a section called Tales from the Tabletop. Either way is fine, but I would love to hear more about this session and about how it opened a door for you. Kemison, I have several questions for you as somebody who wants to get started in D&D. So when you have time, Kemison, you can ask questions at any point in time. Just because I'm presenting content, that doesn't mean you can't ask over here. This show is about you all in the chat room. What we're doing around here, these are background things. These are things for you to consider. These are things for you to you can interact with. Maybe it spurs ideas or further questions. But you all ultimately here, you get first dibs. So I may be presenting, but Kemison, answer your questions, and we'll get to those first. Okay. Yep, that's true, Bubonic. Kemison, not only could I answer, I might even give you a different answer than what a couple other people in chat can. And that way, you know, does that make me right or wrong? No, it means that you have a breadth of options. So you can choose which one best fits the situation you find yourself in, and you're getting you're getting way more help than perhaps what you even thought you would. All right, opportunities. These are opportunities for us that are not controllable by the party. As PCs writing this document, this is what we would see that maybe our DM could inflict upon us. For example, let's see. High magic, low magic, medium magic, and high magic. That right there, a threat would be some kind of anti-magic area or a denial of spells in some circumstance. Every character has magic available to them to some degree. If that were to be removed for some reason through counter spells and anti-magic field, we actually generated an entire area on the map. Up here, this whole area is anti-magic. That could be a huge threat to our party. Estwald, sure, I'm not sure how spoilery it would be to actual adventures or not, but the local group I joined with, the wizard is doing Storm King's Thunder. They're only one session into the book, so it's still really early. Myself and another player that they asked to join last minute, she actually made a wizard too. The PCs didn't really do any favors for Nightstone, and it's in the hands of some real bad people now. They felt really intimidated as they came up to them and fled. But then went to find some missing townsfolk, so our wizards were amongst the captives. Ah, and that's how they found you. Tin Cat? No, don't worry. Come and go as you please, Tin Cat. This is a very relaxed and friendly atmosphere, you know that. An opportunity, the ability to take a lot of punishment due to the amount of healing in the party. Another opportunity, by the way, the ability to play 3 D&D with combats, skill challenges, and other events. What's 3 D&D? That is when you go from just moving on a 2D surface into I climb trees, I climb rocks, I fly, I swim underwater, and now we're considering height and depth and things along those lines. If you look, we have a relatively strong party, and 4 of the 5 characters are proficient in athletics. And even the person who has a dump stat in strength has proficiency in athletics. So if we look, what's just Elarinka here? So Elarinka, she has a +1 modifier. That's not terrible. But she's a bard, so her athletics would be, a 2? Or, you get Jill of all trades. You could almost consider that everyone in the party here can do athletics decently. This is going to bring a whole new strategy for us to play with on the battle mat. Or in our if we do a narrative combat as well. Bubonic, not sure if you saw it. Your thumbs are healing. I don't know about your thumbs, Tin Cat. I saw that you made the quote-unquote pen tattoo, and I appreciate that. I was a little worried, and you said, oh, it's just red ink, and I'm like, okay, whew, that's a good thing. I didn't know something was wrong with your thumbs, though. Mage, I wish I could remember more of the one time I played D&D. I remember the one time I played D&D with my friend, my party got stuck in an illusion that you could only escape from by realizing you're in an illusion. One of the 3 times I played D&D. Well, should either of you find yourself in town, you know where you can come to play a game and make a memory. What is a threat to us would be understanding NPCs' intents or intentions, right? That no proficiency with insight, that can be big. Now, that said, if we look at Wisdom, you know, Novelli's rocking a 3, Nolan's rocking a 3, Alardea is rocking a 2, and Nora's getting a 5. So no one's proficient, but, you know, going off of that, you statistically are more likely to pass with a proficiency. So it's not that they're not going to win any of these contested checks to see if someone's lying to them. It's just we're not as statistically certain of victory. Performance, you know, in the wilderness, again, that's circumstantial. Arcana, kind of the same thing, you know, in a wilderness setting. But insight can be huge as you negotiate. And you're going to see that we're going to have to negotiate over the course of the campaign. Chemison, the last time I played D&D was Keep on the Borderlands. So that shows. So was that the 4th edition starter, Chemison? Oh, I got you, Tin Cat. I thought maybe you like cut your the pad of your thumb or something like that. I thought you were talking about that. Mage says, I remember being a monk. I still have the character sheet, and I kept having so much luck, or I'm not sure what it was, getting over this series of pitfalls on this path. Everything else kept falling into holes and traps, and I strolled right past. Yeah, monks are very good at that. I remember our DM being in shock. I laughed so much. Well, I'm glad you still remembered that you had a very good time. Bubonic, ranged enemy who is high ground would be a fair threat. Those towers could be a problem. Yes, oh, that's true. Oh, this was the original Keep on the Borderlands then, Chemison. They republished it in 4th edition for, that was like I think that was their first intro adventure to 4th. Steel Dust, oh, Maddie, my character in the heisting party was killed. I was scaling the walls of a bank with magical gloves that let me stick to the walls like, oh, shoot, what are they called? Gloves of the Arachne or something like that? Or just like, are they gloves of spider climb? Or I thought they were boots of spider. Anyway. And someone else inside used a fire spell and blew up black powder barrels. Oh my gosh. Wow, well, you went out with a bang, Steel Dust. What was the reaction to that situation? Oh, and so yeah, as we're talking threats here, Bubonic. Ranged enemies. In high placements. Or flying creatures. With a Cleric and Druid in the party, opportunities should be able to handle undead easily. Can also play, quote-unquote, D&D animal friendship is magic. Yes, we have a Beastmaster Ranger, though we have 3 characters that have that are proficient in animal handling. That's not only good for transportation, but if you want to domesticate wildlife or you want to try and get some empathic signal, you know, did Timmy fall in the well? So says Lassie, as she whines and barks or something. Then of course we have the spells that the Ranger and the Druid bring to bear, let alone the skills. But we can not only incorporate climbing and flying and all this other stuff, we can play D&D Animal Friendship as magic because we can read the wildlife around us, and not just that. Our Ranger and Druid in an Outlands campaign where you can speak with animals or speak with plants, that can be very, very big. Bubonic One says, finally remember B2. I played it until I cleared out the entire cave complex. Steel Dust says, it was about as hilarious as you could imagine. When our sorcerer used the spell, the DM asked, "Are you sure? If you miss, you'll blow the whole building up." To which our sorcerer, of course, responded with, "I won't miss," and then proceeded to roll a nat 1. It was quite laughter-inducing. Well, I'm glad. And you know what? That happens. Crit happens. Both for miss and to hit. And if everyone was still able to laugh and have a good time as the players, instead of feeling, bitter remorse or anger or like, "Dude, why'd you do that? You suck. I'm never playing with you again." And blah, 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 blah. Ugh. I'm glad everyone still had a great time. Now, that said, what is your DM going to do since his party was blown up? Is he going to continue the story? Are you going to scrap it and do a new one? What will happen, Steel Dust? Did I just say D&D friendship is magic? I did indeed. Well, I said animal friendship is magic, but yes, mage. With a ranger and a druid in the party, let alone having the animal handling skill proficient on 3 of the 5 characters, we will be able to use the plants and animals around us in order to help. Further speaking of that, says Bubonic, that animal friendship can help with local wildlife, which can help with... we were talking about rust monsters. Being able to tame them or lure them or something to understand their behavior. That could be big. And you could run, like a boar stampede through the Imperial supply depot, and those boars are gonna be quite the distraction, while the rest of everyone else infiltrates and liberates weapons or whatnot from it. Steel Dust, I was the only one who died. Oh, you were the only one who died. Okay. We talked about reintroducing me as a new character that is an easily manipulated guard that helps in a heist and becomes part of the party. So your new character would have been in the building and rushed out to see what happened, saw that there was a big explosion, and maybe he wanted to switch sides because he was going to be blamed for it or something, and he was already weak-willed for the cause of this place to begin with. I smell some Pony Finder puns on the horizon. You are welcome to make them, Plunderloot. You or Mage or our other pony enthusiasts. I believe Darkwolf is as well. Estwild, my AC 21 fighter had a Sturge land and a crit on me. I returned in kind and rolled a 1. And this Fantasy Grounds group added in some critical fumble tables. The Sturge then vomited up a swarm of bugs. I don't ask how that was physically possible. So we had to fight an additional monster. Oh, wow. That's, that is part of the fun of D&D. And it can be difficult at times to find this kind of enjoyment or these circumstances in a video game, because video games are only programmed to do what they're programmed to do. But here we've had imagination on display, and your stories, Steel Dust, Estwild, and, for everyone else who shared a story, Plunderloot, you've shared plenty, especially Curse of Strahd. I actually went back, Plunderloot, and I was rereading your adventure through Curse of Strahd, and I was comparing it to what we're doing on at the store. And it's a fun comparison to make. Darkwolf, yes I am. Bubonic mountain goats can be very dangerous if you want to use local wildlife. Yeah, and why magical animals will draw a lot of attention, a lot of suspicion. If you can use the local wildlife, that will raise less suspicion. Because remember, this is a quasi-infiltration based campaign. It's not just a battle of attrition where, we have a battlefield like in Suikoden or something. Or, everything is just a big, Civil War style, 2 sides on each side of 2 armies on each side of a field, and they march together until one side stops moving, kind of a thing. This can be hit and run. We're playing 3D&D. We're using what's around us. In a way, again, think of Valkyria Chronicles. That was an inspiration to me as I was plotting what are we going to be doing in the wake of finishing the Mesotopia proper campaigns. Or you can think of Breath of the Wild and the different missions you have, or you have to use the local resources close to you that are available for whatever's the reason. Use what's around you. Understand it. Exactly, Bubonic. Use what's around you. Mage hasn't been Mage hasn't been able to watch MLP in a few years. Guerrilla warfare, that very well could be. Although we can entertain if they want to have these battles of attrition. Also, plunder loot. If your mission is disable the supply depot, you can disable it by blowing it up and off the map. You can disable it by routing the enemy and claiming it for yourself. You can disable it by just killing everyone and claiming it by yourself. You could disable it by taking everyone, you knock everyone out that you meet and you take them prisoner or something. You've still disabled it, but how are you going about that? There is a sense of morality that the players are going to have as an element of this campaign as well. Estwild says, yep, after the Sturges, we met this tiny little masked creature no bigger than my hand. Everyone was moving on, but it waved and poked its finger out ET style. So I knelt down and complied. It was almost the thing that saved my life because we were on a ledge later and I rolled a 1 when a gust of wind came up and had to make a dex save. The little creature had apparently given me a semi-permanent feather fall. Oh, wow. I can't help but, Estwild, you're coming across this thing that just says, yeah, you found me. That's really neat. And Estwild, that's another tactic DMs will use, is they'll put something out there that could very easily be passed by, or that, a player might not care about. Like, oh, I just want the big shiny magic sword. Your character noticed a small creature, wanted to make contact with it, and you received a reward. It was kind of like that. So there you go, Darkwolf. Estwild found another Korok. You should ask him where it's at. Mage, are you a Disney princess? Estwild asks Mage. Bubonic, hit the outside tower with the goats, and if you want to crush the road strong point, let the Crocs at them. Estwild, it hopped out of a pile of rubble I was looking at after we cleared out the Sturges. Oh, so it was hiding from them. And Estwild says maybe. I do have a feeling here, and I want to go back and check the characters. 12. That's not terrible. And that one's not terrible either. Nalevi does have some heavy armor. I was afraid. Yeah, I mean, so we do have a 12, 12, and 14 for ACs. So, they might be kind of squishy there. What about... We have 1 wisdom. No, we have 2 wisdoms. We only have 1 int proficiency. Dex, dex, dex. 2 strengths, 2 charismas. I'll put that as a strength, is a good mix of physical and mental saves. Although if we look at it, intelligence or wisdom saves could be a problem for us. If we fall under some sort of illusion or compulsion, because I think charisma is versus being charmed. We're okay with charisma. Well, we have 2. Technically, we have 2 whiz. But int or whiz saves can be for very powerful effects, and we're not the best. That is a threat to us. as well, while it is listed as a weakness for the high chance of intra-party conflict, there is an external threat of 2 to 3 of the party members may be swayed to return to Imperial allegiance. That could wreck the party if that was the case. Eswald says at Chemison, you can't go wrong with buying just the player's handbook and reading it over and maybe making a character along with Maddie. Yep, I'll be happy to do so with you. You don't have to buy it up front, but it's financially okay for you to do so. You probably want... Yeah, because the PHB is like 90% of D&D, in my opinion. The other books can help greatly, but especially if you're only going to play D&D, that's 100% for you. If you want to run D&D, there's good stuff in the DMG and the Monster Manual, but it's not necessary to play D&D. Plunderloot, I have a great quote I am liking. The body is but a vessel for the soul, a puppet which bends to the soul's tyranny, and lo, the body is not eternal, for it must feed on the flesh of others, lest it return to the dust from whence it came. Therefore, must the soul deceive, despite and murder men, or despise and murder men. Very interesting quote, Plunderloot. Deathcount says at Chemison, also, if you're just wanting to play online, check out sites like Roll20. Mostly all you need is a decent computer, and most games, a headset and a mic. That is very true. If you play D&D, you only need the Pahubba. If you're wanting to be a DM, you'll need all three. PHB is most important book in the set. Correct, Plunderloot. Eswald continues, Chemison, the answer of where to find a group and start playing is a lot more complicated. If you can find out when that closest game store is doing their Adventures League or something of the sort, you could try and schedule your day so that you're nearby when it starts. The other answer is to go to Reddit's RLFG, Roll20's website, and signing up to games. And it's game stores, comic stores, even local libraries are good places to check for people playing D&D. Chemison, but you'll probably want to be or Eswild says, Chemison, you'll probably want to be a little bit comfortable with the game before you jump online. I would make it known either way if you're new. There are many groups who will be happy to help you learn as a newbie to D&D. Don't let being new have you be afraid. Mention it. Just say, look, I'm new. I'm willing to learn. I'll pay attention. I'm not afraid to learn, and I want to learn. Tuesdays and Thursdays are my days, and the store doesn't open and plays. Oh. And I'm sorry if I missed saying your question, Chemison. It was, how do I get started playing? The closest game store is almost an hour drive. So what do I need to do to be able to play online, and how to start for new players? The player's handbook for sure. And Chemison, if you have a concept of a character that you like, from things you've heard here or on other channels or elsewhere, you say, oh, wow, a Dwarven Barbarian sounds really fun. I'll sit down and I'll keep my player's handbook open as a PDF here for you, so you can follow along, and we'll make a level 1 character, and we'll have fun and go from there. All right, I think this is going to be about it for our party. We have, I think we've examined it from a lot of different sides. Yes, we could probably squeeze out a couple more opportunities or strengths or something like that, but we have our major ones listed out there. So I'm going to take a break, and this is going to be us as PCs submitting this form to now us as DMs, and we're going to review the outline of a campaign. So get up, stretch, get some water, get a snack, something along those lines, and let's meet back in about 10 minutes here, okay? Let me make sure I didn't miss anything else. Oh, also, Chemison, if you are on our Discord, talk to Ivalon. Ivalon is purposely running a game for newbies to D&D. You'll send him a message, or if you go to our Discord here, I don't think that's the right one. if you go to TG looking for group, you can post info here in our Discord as well. Also, Evelyn, who is a mod here along with Darkwolf, you can send Evelyn a message through Discord or Twitch, and I'm sure he'll get back to you and be able to help you out. He wants to specifically run for newer players to help teach them how to play. No, I know you come up now and again, Chemison, and I'm glad that you're lurking. I mean, if that's the case, maybe you have some ideas. I don't mind building a character with you a little bit later. Death Count, thank you for providing that link. Plunder Loot, it's free, requires a few things. Yeah, but not a lot. I'd be willing to bet you could find specific people willing to put up just to get people in and voice chat. Yep, S-Wild, I'm sure you could do that. Yeah, Mage, if your local library has a copy of it, then for sure, borrow it if you don't want to get one for yourself, and take a look through it. For one of the local libraries here, I actually donated a copy of each of the 3 books to it. So it's not a traditional library book, but if people wanted to go to the library and learn or explore, they would be able to borrow those books from the library to learn how to play. Oh, that is cool, Estwild. Your local library used to have every issue of Dragon Magazine. That is cool. Okay, I'm going to take a quick break, about 10 minutes. I'll be around for a little bit of it here to respond in chat. I just probably won't be on voice or camera, okay?